Hello, my beautiful friends. So with the holidays coming up, I wanted to sit down and recommend some books to you featuring dysfunctional families. Dysfunctional families, family drama, generational trauma, characters that have just issues from dealing with some sort of trauma going on in their family. These books are mostly literary fiction. I do have 2 memoirs, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Please don't mind the fact that I'm washing my bedding. Poor planning on my part, and then I have a bunch of boxes in my living room because I'm gonna be moving. There's nowhere for me to film today, okay? I'm sorry. Kicking off this video, I am starting with Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. This is a book about a woman who is dealing with depression. She, states that her depression is like a black hole kind of following her around. And we are following her as she moves from Pennsylvania to California to start up a new job, and it's just this toxic work environment. But we are following a lot of her issues that she has with her family, lots of dysfunctional family trauma and issues that also play a part in her depression. This book is just deeply sad, deeply moving, and I absolutely love this book and could completely relate. The Push by Ashley Audrain. This is a book about a woman who has a child that she feels like she doesn't really connect with, and the husband connects really well with the child. They're like really bonded, but then she has another child that she is bonded with, and she just doesn't know what is going on with the child that she can't connect to. Lots to say about postpartum depression, but there's just something, she's not sure if something's going on with the child or if it is just her postpartum depression. And yeah, this one is it's like labeled as a thriller, but it's more literary fiction. It's just a deep dive into this woman's mental health. Very sad book, and had a lot to say about motherhood in general. Death Valley by Melissa Broder. This is a book about a woman whose father's in the ICU, and at the same time she's dealing with her husband's kind of medical condition declining. And so she's going through this episode of grief where she decides to go to the desert to try to finish up one of her novels. She is a writer, and there's like this surreal aspect of like a vaginal cactus and all these crazy things happening in the desert. And it's her just like navigating life and the stages of grief, dealing with these 2 tragic things happening in her family at the same time. Really great exploration of daughterhood, being a daughter, trying to be the perfect daughter, but also at the same time trying to be the perfect wife. So you do get those aspects of marriage and father-daughter relationship in here. Excellent book. Melissa Broder, you guys know, is like my favorite. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. In this book here, we are following a woman who is depressed and wants to sleep for an entire year. So she has her friend try to like feed her pills, so that way she's just completely asleep for an entire year. She's a very shitty, horrible person. That's why I love her. But we are seeing kind of some parental issues and family trauma from her upbringing kind of manifesting itself through her personality, through her shitty personality and the decisions that she makes and her mental illness. So it's kind of like, I do see where she's coming from. I do see why she is the way that she is. This book doesn't have to do with family trauma per se, but it's more so like the manifestation of the family trauma. Yeah, it's just a very, this book is very me. And then another Ottessa Moshfegh is Eileen. We are following a woman who is the caretaker for her like horrible alcoholic father, and she has a very terrible job. She works at a prison, and one day a new woman shows up at the prison, like a new coworker, and she decides to become obsessed with this woman And as she is obsessed with this woman and trying to befriend her, a little crime happens. She partakes in a little crime action. Is another, you know, shitty, horrible, unlikable character, but at the same time, like, you can see where she's coming from, because look at her upbringing. Like, she's the caretaker for her alcoholic father. I mean, I can see where all the stress and mental illness is coming from. So it's like, yeah, another terrible character, but you can't help but, like, feel sorry for her. Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates. This is following a marriage in 1961. I was just checking for the date. Yeah, and we are just following the breakdown of a marriage. So on the outside, you know, it looks like the perfect marriage, the perfect couple, the white picket fence, but behind closed doors, their marriage is literally falling apart. We see how lack of communication and these marital issues that they refuse to work on just keep building and snowballing. It's a very depressing book, very well written book. I was completely sucked in to the drama of this one. It is compared to The Great Gatsby. I still, to this day, have not read The Great Gatsby, so do with that information what you will. Played As It Lays by Joan Didion. This is about a woman in 1960s California. She's a movie star married to this famous director, and their marriage is breaking down. Her life is breaking down. Just terrible things keep happening to her, and we're literally following her mental breakdown. Very numb, very detached, and I was completely sucked in and depressed reading this book. The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This is a book about a woman who starts having nightmares, and her nightmares start kind of convincing her to become a vegetarian. And this troubles her family, and this book is told in 3 parts. The first one is the POV of her husband. The second one is the POV of her, I think, brother-in-law. Honestly, yeah, the brother-in-law. And then the third POV is from her sister. And so we're seeing how these 3 people in her life view her, and it just shows like the control that they have over her, and how this woman really like lacks a voice. And it's kind of like a punch to the gut, just seeing the way that other people view her and kind of try to control her life, and how this is like her way of sort of rebelling in a way. It's a very disturbing book, but I really enjoyed this one, and I would be curious to read more from this author. I've been seeing a couple of their books floating around, and I don't know. Let me know if I should check out more by this author. Lunar Park by Bret Ellis. In this book here, we are following kind of an autofiction meta version of Bret himself. He's writing about himself as he is a famous author, and he gets married to a woman and has 2 children, and he thinks that their house is haunted. He's seeing things in the house. He thinks the house is haunted by his father, who passed away, who was very abusive and an alcoholic. And at the same time, someone is recreating all the killings from American Psycho. They're like impersonating Patrick Bateman. So it is kind of an American Psycho sequel in a way, but this is Bret's horror book, and it has a lot to do with family trauma, generational trauma, and just the way that when you grow up in an abusive household, the cycle kind of continues. Like, we see him struggling to connect with his children, and it's very heavy on the family dysfunction. Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. This is a book about a girl who feels very alienated. She feels like she's an alien from outer space, and the only one that she can connect to is her cousin. And along the way, her and her cousin lose touch, and she ends up getting married to a man who's asexual, and they have this relationship, and then her cousin comes back into her life in present day while she's married, and they go to visit the cousin. I won't give anything else away. This book is about alienation. This book is about loneliness. I can't really say why this book is so dysfunctional. Just trust me, it goes into really weird, fucked up territory. Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This is a book about a woman who is a reporter, and she gets a call to go back to her hometown to investigate a murder that happened. It is a thriller, but it has a lot to say about mother-daughter relationships. Her mom was just like abusive and mentally ill, and she kind of lost touch with her mom and her half-sister, and she has to go back to her hometown and kind of like reconnect with them, and it's just a whole bunch of family trauma and fuckery going on. A really excellent show, by the way. I think this is on HBO when I watched it. Yeah, I loved the show adaptation of this book, but yeah, really well done thriller. Britney Spears' memoir, I mean, talk about like family trauma, dysfunctional family relationships, hello. This book is just very raw and honest and looks at her family and the things that her father did to her specifically, and then her mother, her sister, like details about her conservatorship and just everything that she's gone through, and it is just sick. I mean, I could never imagine doing this to my child. I don't care what the circumstances are. Like, I couldn't imagine controlling my child like this. Yeah, just really sad and a really well done memoir. I actually really love this a lot. Sticking to that same theme here, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, another book about you know, Jeanette McCurdy's life on Nickelodeon and how her mom, like, you know, kind of forced her to become this child star and like wanted this for her and wanted that, and it was like her mom forcing her to do all these things, and just like the abuse that took place involving her mother, and then of course like her mom ended up getting cancer and passing away eventually, but it's her kind of just like looking back at all of the trauma involving her mother and the things that she was forced to do. Really excellent memoir. I am looking forward to reading Jeanette McCurdy's books. Like, I didn't know that she was an author, like an author. But yeah, after reading this, I was like, oh, Jeanette McCurdy can write. I'm curious to see like how her fiction is, but really beautiful memoir, obsessed. And that is it. Those are my dysfunctional family books. Let me know if you have any more recommendations in the comments down below. I will be reading a few soon. I have some on my TBR, so yeah, if I read any more dysfunctional family books, maybe I'll do a part 2 to this video. But I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.